it watching a video on Cosmonaut Variety Hour, the prequels. So part two, I'm more interested in the prequels one. Um, I may go back and watch his original trilogy one, but I watched his video previously before, well, a little bit to get a little sense of it, and I have some problems with it. And we're gonna watch it together. Okay. Without further ado, let's go.
Star Wars The Phantom Menace was the most disappointing thing since my son. Yes, before I start this breakdown, I have to address the big red letter in the room. The Mr. Plinkett reviews by Red Letter Media are probably the best analysis of the Star Wars prequels on the internet. And unfortunately for me,
no. Hot take, I have a problem with the Red Letter Media prequel videos because you get some stuff wrong. They still do, and I don't know why. They have a big problem with CGI, the Red Letter Media guys. And CGI is a tool like anything other. If you overuse it or you don't give your people that are using the tool enough time, it can come out bad. But it's not a bad thing.
they are incredibly in-depth. These movies have been around for a while, and there's almost nothing I can say that hasn't already been said by someone. But you guys have been demanding that I review these movies for years now, and I do have a lot to say. So I'm just going to go in with a clear mind and put the good old cosmonaut spin on things. Because I do not like these movies. I barely even like them ironically.
And you're allowed to have that opinion. I think you're allowed to have that opinion. But what you're not, well, that makes it sound like I'm the boss. But you should not lie about these movies or mislead. I'm not saying he does, because I haven't seen the whole thing of this video, but we're gonna watch together.
These movies are not a guilty pleasure for me, because when I watch them I feel no pleasure, only guilt.
Still don't like the voice. You should have more emotion. I can't have as much emotion, right? I can't. Well, I'm gonna try not to be as loud because other people live in the apartment. But
I said in the last video,
But I'm just gonna be more quiet loud.
Have to be brainwashed into liking these movies. I know.
Brainwashed? Wait.
This, only guilt. Like I said in the last video, you have to be brainwashed into liking them.
Brainwashed into liking the movies. Into liking them? I do not agree with that. There are good aspects about these movies, and brainwashed, again, the misleading part. I don't agree with that, because there are many reasons somebody would like something. And hell, you could like the fact that there are lightsabers, and being brainwashed into that, it's so ridiculous.
In these movies, I know this because I was brainwashed. They came out with these boring ass movies with their.
So just because you think you were brainwashed into liking them doesn't mean other people were.
Racist Jamaican caricature alien. And they so was brainwashed. They came out with these boring ass movies with a racist Jamaican caricature alien, and they sold us toys and video.
Why do you think he's racist? Why do you think he's Jamaican? If anything, you're racist for thinking it's racist for a Jamaican, because you're putting the voice. I assume it's the voice. You're putting the voice. You think the voice is Jamaican. That could just be how his aliens sound, and that's not a problem.
video games and Halloween costumes. And this was my whole childhood. New movie, new video games, new toys, Star Wars potato chips, Star Wars candy. Star Wars was everywhere. And I liked Star Wars a lot, bro. I was watching Star Wars since before the prequels even came out.
I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old.
It truly fucking blows my mind that people are only just now mad at Star Wars for being a cash grab franchise that only cares about merchandise. They seriously act like Disney's the only reason Star Wars is trying to make money? What?
No, Star Wars has always had merchandise, except for the first one, because they didn't know it would be that successful. But, especially for the prequels, the toys were made after the movies came out. Because, for one, they didn't know what characters people would like. And then they made the toys off of what characters were popular.
What fucking
It was the exact opposite for the sequels, where they just made toys for all the main characters, and a lot of them weren't really popular.
planet have you been living on? Star Wars has always been like this.
Star Wars Micro Machines. There's a cool adventure in every collection.
Ad.
My name is Squidward, and I hate my life. Nothing ever changes. I'm thinking of killing myself.
We're gonna watch
But
it together.
before I kill myself, I want to kill the people I hate.
This can't be.
I should go find SpongeBob and Patrick and help them.
Somebody has a
Here's Star
lawsuit.
Wars micro.
All I know is somebody has a lawsuit on their hands, because that doesn't look like it's officially licensed. Sinister Squidwa, or something like that. That's what it's called.
Micro machines so iconic, they're legendary.
And when the prequel train started revving up, it was just time for more merchandise. It was a good time to be an impressionable little kid who loves Star Wars, and back then I didn't have the mental capacity to judge these movies. Nobody in my age group did. We saw the lightsabers and we were on board. We didn't give a shit. I think everybody has that moment where they're watching the prequels after having grown up a bit, and they realize, Jesus Christ, what did I like about these movies?
He's showing the scene with Count Dooku on the little speeder bike. What's wrong with that? There are plenty of reasons to like these movies. The Count Dooku, Emperor, Anakin, Obi-Wan, or Darth Maul, General Grievous. The story isn't as good as you would like it, but there are good elements in it. There's the idea that the Jedi are blinded by the hubris is a good idea. The way it's executed, not as good, though.
That moment where you realize that you don't actually understand the plot of any of these movies. That they're boring, and the acting is
boring. I hate that argument, because that's so subjective. I didn't find it boring. See, they're not boring anymore.
bad, and there's just no good aspect to enjoy.
You're just completely wrong. I enjoy lots about the prequels. There.
My generation got older, and we realized these movies were bad. There was peace on the internet for a brief time. It was widely accepted that the Star Wars prequels were not good movies, and there wasn't anybody alive who unironically liked them. There was no more world hunger.
There were plenty of people then that unironically liked the prequels.
Racism was over, and we as a species had finally achieved world peace.
He showed another picture of Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks isn't racist, but whatever.
And then Disney started making Star Wars movies.
This is a nightmare!
And now all of a sudden people are saying the prequels are good? What the fuck happened? I've seen so many people unironically defend these movies and then turn around and shit on other bad movies like Suicide Squad or Batman v Superman, even though they all share the same exact issues. Overly
no, they don't. They don't, but let's hear.
Expensive movies with bad effects and worse writing. And way too many people are saying that the prequels are redeemed.
I mean, what did he say?
With bad effects and worse writing.
I mean, I think Suicide Squad and the first Suicide Squad and the Batman vs Superman are worse than the prequels. They're just worse. I think so. I don't want to go into it now, but they're just worse.
And way too many people are saying that the prequels are redeemed because they're better than the new movies.
They are better than the new movies. They don't ruin any characters. Actually, some characters get a boost by being in the prequels. And there are plenty interesting characters like Count Dooku. The idea of a former Jedi turned Sith that doesn't entirely believe in the Sith thing. That's interesting.
The new movies aren't even that bad. I don't love every aspect of them.
No, they're really horrible. They ruin Luke Skywalker. They ruin Luke Skywalker, turn him into a hermit that wants to kill himself. Why didn't he kill himself? And then, if he wanted to die, why did he leave a map? And then, they ruin hyperspace stuff. But I've talked about this at length in plenty of my other videos, and I don't want to repeat myself. I mean, I have plenty of time. Well, I'm not going to again.
But I cannot call them bad movies.
Oh, honestly, they are horrible movies. See my previous videos.
I have full respect for people who hate the prequels and the sequels equally. I think that's...
Equally. I don't think you can hate them equally. They have massively different problems.
Totally fair. What kills me is when people say these movies are good and these aren't.
For one, why do you care what other people like? People are allowed to like what they like. You're allowed to like the prequels and the sequels, or just the sequels and not the prequels. I have a problem when you chat shit.
At least the prequels had some original ideas. Who the fuck says shit like this? Original ideas aren't enough to make a movie good.
I agree with that.
And something can still be good without having original ideas.
I agree with that too.
Stranger Things doesn't have a single original idea at all.
I don't.
And it's generally seen to be pretty good.
I don't agree with that. I'm sure Stranger Things had some original ideas in it. With the scary creature, I've never seen it. The scary creature from the other world, that I've never seen anything like that. I'm sure that's original.
Everybody likes it. The prequels have a lot of unique ideas, yeah, and they're not presented in a good way at all in these movies.
I disagree with that. See Count Dooku, see Obi-Wan, see the relationship between the Emperor and Anakin. Order 66 is a good idea and a legitimately heartful, interesting idea of how a republic turns into an empire.
It's Jedi! What do you know?
If you thought this was going to be a video about me praising the prequels, then I'm sorry. You probably don't know me very well. Maybe we can be friends in another life. Today I'm going to try and bring these movies back down a peg. Because I hate them, and when people disagree with me, I feel uncomfortable.
That's weird. I invite people to disagree with me. It allows me to check myself, you know? Okay, you disagree with me. Let's talk about it. What Maybe I'm wrong, maybe you're wrong. We'll find out together.
Now, before I start tearing into the movie, I should be fair and talk about the good things. This isn't the worst movie ever made, so it has to have some positive qualities, right? So,
I thought you said it doesn't do anything well. So apparently it does do things well? Revise your scripts.
The music is pretty good. The thing is, almost every aspect of this movie that's sort of okay has a little asterisk right above it. I want to say the effects are good because a lot of them are technically very impressive. For a movie that came out in 1999, Jar Jar looks pretty good, but the effects aren't always integrated into the movie in a convincing way. I mean, the pod racing scene is pretty cool because it's the only time in the movie where you feel like you're not dead.
I disagree with that. I love the fight between Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I like the I haven't seen the movies. I like the sorry, I should have watched the movies before this. It makes me look stupid. I admit it. But I like I still remember them. I like the politics in the movie. Politics are good. That's a hot take. I know people have the idea of the politics in Star Wars. We don't want politics. I don't understand that sentiment because space politics and the idea of what happens on a political level in a universe in a galaxy spanning republic. I was gonna say empire, but we don't learn much politics from there. But I like the idea.
That's probably the only enjoyable scene other than the final battle. And I'd say the final battle is the one scene that is so cool it tricked people into liking this movie for just a little bit after it
Again, you don't have to be tricked to like this movie.
Came out. Sometimes an exciting ending can fool an audience into thinking a movie is good, and this final battle is actually pretty dope. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to enjoy it when you realize that you don't care about any of the things that are happening in this movie.
I care about Obi-Wan in this movie. I care about Qui-Gon Jinn. He's a good character. And if he survived this movie, Anakin might have not turned to the Sith.
There's also one single line that I kind of like in this movie.
Perhaps I killed a Jedi and took it from him.
I don't think so. No one can kill a Jedi.
I wish that was so.
I kind of like the subtle foreshadowing in that line, and that's one of the only times I'm ever going to call these movies subtle, so enjoy it. But the main positive in this movie is definitely the music. The John Williams score is always the one aspect of these movies that is on point. I want to believe that old Johnny saw these movies and was like, okay, I gotta try to fix these as best as I can. But it is kind of unintentionally funny sometimes because you'll be visually looking at nothing happening in these movies, but the music will be popping the fuck off.
Okay, we're gonna go back.
But the music will be popping the fuck off.
For one, he showed the scene where Anakin is going to try and save his mother. So I don't know why he show that scene. And then he literally showed the scene where the Padme guards are trying to take back the Padme's Senate building. That is a pretty action-filled scene and obviously try and save their planet. They're trying to save their planet. That is action. Okay? He's showing the scene when Anakin is going to confront Mace Windu in episode 3 and Palpatine. And it's like, literally, the next scene is Anakin killing Mace Windu. And this is the scene where Anakin is rushing toward them. It's very impactful. And decide the fate for a bunch of characters. Almost all the Jedi.
But that's all I can say in the way of praise. These movies honestly fail at almost every level of filmmaking. So we are going to watch this movie with the same framework that we watched A New Hope in. For the first time, I'm going to try to watch this movie with my fully evolved film brain. I'm going to pretend as if I have never seen this movie before. And right off the bat, the opening title crawl is just too much. Remember when I talked about how perfect the title crawl is in A New Hope? It's simple, effective, and it doesn't throw too much information at us. This is the first paragraph in the Phantom Menace title crawl.
Turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. The taxation of trade routes to outlying star systems.
What's wrong with that? Turmoil? What's wrong with that? He's complaining right now. Turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. Okay, the problems with the Galactic Republic. That taxation of trade routes to outlying star systems in dispute. They're trade routes and they're in dispute. And they're trying to figure out how to tax them. What's wrong with that? It's pretty simple.
Is a dispute.
This is the first indication of the tone
That,
of the movie. It's fucking boring. There are
again, that's not an argument. It's not boring to me, therefore the movie is not boring.
no signs of life in this movie at all. The
You literally just said you like good things in the movie. Now there isn't.
performances are stiff. The lines are dry and lifeless, and the movie isn't even directed in an engaging way. Everybody kind of talks the same, and it's really awkward. Like, who the fuck talks like this?
This is incredible. We recommend a commission be sent to Naboo to ascertain the truth.
The Congress of Malastare concurs with the honorable delegate from the Trade Federation.
When you start the
What's wrong with that?
movie, you
The Congress.
We recommend a commission be sent to Naboo to
Yeah, what's wrong with that? We recommend a commission to be sent to Naboo. What's wrong with that?
ascertain the truth.
The Congress of Malastare concurs with the honorable delegate from the Trade
Yeah, and the Congress of Malastare agrees. That's pretty simple.
Federation.
When you start the movie, you might think that the Jedi just talk in this weird, overly wordy way because they're like warrior monks. I kind of accept the fact that they talk weird. But everybody fucking talks like this, except the Jamaican and the literal
Why do you think he's Jamaican? You're insane. Or
child. And while they may sound different, their line delivery is on another fucking level.
You mean I get to come with you and your starship?
See,
that's fair.
George has this weird problem where his dialogue is kind of the worst thing about his movies. I'm not lying, man. Even in the original Star Wars, the instant classic, his actors constantly made fun of him for his dialogue.
And then I started reading, and it seemed to me the dialogue was pretty ropey.
It's a true story. Harrison Ford, who plays the space pirate in the film, at one point threatened to tie George up and make him say his own lines at gunpoint.
But back then, he had a team to help him fix up the script and make it sound like lines that real people would say. Star Wars should be simple. We just saw Han Solo talking like...
Why should Star Wars be simple? You can have high concepts in Star Wars. What's wrong with that? Just let...
like a regular fucking guy. And now all the characters talk like weird Shakespeare robots. And that's a word that I've heard people use to describe this dialogue. Shakespearean. But that's honestly using the word wrong, in my opinion. I've always seen it work as Shakespearean when we talk about how the actions of the characters dictate their emotions. It's less about what they say and more about how they feel. It's not just Shakespearean because they talk funny. It's annoying and it makes it impossible to connect to the characters.
I mean, I agree. I connected with the characters. It's not impossible.
And this manner of speech makes it so that we never really know who these characters are on a deeper level, because none of these characters have character traits. They also never talk about how they feel, and
The Jedi constantly talking about how they feel about the Force. I mean, in Episode 3, Yoda and Anakin have a conversation in that little room. And Anakin is constantly talking about his feelings.
and all of the dialogue is just to tell us what is literally happening in the story. Take all the dialogue scenes in this movie and think about what their purpose is in the story. Two characters explaining where they are and what they're doing. Characters coming up with a plan. Characters coming up with a plan. Characters coming up with a plan and meeting someone new. Characters making a deal and coming up with a plan. Characters talking about the plot and
What's wrong with all this?
what's happening. Characters coming up with a plan. Characters coming up with a plan. Inappropriate flirting.
You're a funny little boy.
Characters coming up with a plan. Do you see the fucking problem here?
No, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with talking about what happened and coming up with the plan?
There are very few scenes of our characters being normal people and expressing emotions in this movie. There is legitimately only one scene of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon talking to each other about anything that isn't the immediate plot. The only time they have a fucking heart-to-heart is at the end of the movie. For 99% of the runtime.
That's not true. This scene, with, at, Shmi's home, they have a heart-to-heart. And when Qui-Gon dies, they have a heart-to-heart. And at the end of the movie.
These characters have no relationship to one another, and we never learn how they feel about each other.
That's not true.
Yet we're
like I
expected
just
to
said.
care when this happens. This movie also has some of the most flat performances I've ever seen.
I don't fully understand. This is a strange place to me.
There is zero chemistry between any of these actors. Zero. I mean, literally, no chemistry. This movie is not fun to watch.
I disagree.
It's not even fun to make fun of. Now, people have been making fun of this new scene from The Rise of Skywalker because of this particular line.
Oh, they fly now! They fly now! They fly now!
They make fun of it because obviously people have had jetpacks for a really long time. If we're just going by the films, at least up until at least before the Phantom Menace. Wait, yeah, at least before Attack of the Clones. I mean, if we want to get real pedantic, the first jetpack we see is in Attack of the Clones. So that's how long people have had jetpacks. Probably way longer, but that's the first confirmation of it. And it's stupid because these people should know, obviously, they can fly. That technology exists.
Oh, it's too quippy. It sounds like Marvel dialogue. Okay, yeah, whatever.
Why is it quippy? Where's the joke? It's just stupid. Characters wouldn't say that.
Let's talk about this for a second, though. Compare this chase scene to a chase scene from this movie. Our heroes are going to be eaten by a giant monster. I wonder how they feel about this. Oh, they don't really care. These characters just can't be bothered to give a shit at all. Oh, they don't really care.
The term is, they're really professional. What do you think, them to be freaking out? And one character is freaking out. He talking about the scene underwater in Phantom Menace. One person is freaking out. It's Jar Jar Binks. And Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan try and tell Jar Jar, hey, calm down. Freaking out isn't going to help. As a Jedi, I would hope they would be calm under pressure.
Really care. These characters just can't be bothered to give a shit at
They care, but they're very professional.
all.
Just relax. Relax.
Yeah, what's wrong with saying relax? They're very professional. They know, hey, freaking out isn't going to help. That's perfectly fine.
Okay, yeah, man, I won't worry. Even when they're planning the final battle, they don't care.
Once we're inside, we shouldn't have a problem.
Oh yeah, it won't be a problem.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? Once you get past all the forces and get to where they want to be, they should be fine. The real problem is obviously getting there.
Problem. No use in me being emotionally invested. The movie has low stakes, low energy, and it really doesn't allow you to engage with it in the same level that you would with any other Star Wars movie. So yeah, personally, I'll take these corny, energetic performances
It doesn't make sense, though.
over this shit any day of the fucking week, but hey, that's just me. So anyway, let's talk about the actual plot. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I have never known the plot of this movie until now.
Okay, I'll name the plot in the movie. I haven't seen the movie in a while. Oh, you know what? I just noticed. That's, you know the little... There you go. That thing right there. Oh, I didn't notice that, but it's set dressing, but it's, the little... You know, the little toy you have to play as? You know, it's a ball, and you throw it, and you try and catch it with the other one. That's what one of those is. It's cool. Oh, interesting.
Most of the times when I watch this movie...
Okay, the plot. The plot is... There's taxation of trade routes. The Galactic Republic is in turmoil. And then, what's the term for it in the movie? I forget the term for it in the movie, but, they go to, try and resolve the taxation disputes. The 2 Jedi get attacked. Then they go to Tatooine. They find Anakin. And then Palpatine is trying to kill them the whole movie. That's the plot.
It's with friends where we just quote the awkward or funny moments until we get bored and turn it off halfway through.
Of course you didn't know the plot of the movie. You didn't engage with the movie until now.
But as far as the plot goes, I am only just now piecing it together after having watched it.
Yeah, why are you making it like this big thing? Oh, yeah, you know, I'm so cool. Dude, you didn't engage with the movie until literally now. Why do you find that so mighty or whatever?
This movie for 20 years. That is not a good sign. But hey,
well, it says more about you than the movie because you didn't engage with it and you admitted it.
Just me, right? Maybe I'm the dumbass who just doesn't get it. So
well, you are because you didn't engage with the movie.
I even asked you guys on Twitter if you knew the plot of this movie, and most of you didn't.
That's a flawed metric, and especially because it's your fans, and since you hate the prequels, you will attract more people who hate the prequels, and it's not a good system because there's many flaws in it.
I actually expected most of you guys to lie or just check the wiki, but no.
So you just... Hey, look, Warwick Davis. Not music, not in makeup, Warwick Davis. But, so you expected... How do you know people didn't lie?
You guys were pretty honest for once. And I don't think this is because the plot is overly complicated. I mean, it is, but that's not why we don't understand it. It's because the plot is not conveyed properly to the audience. For a movie that's mostly just our characters telling us what they're going to do, and then doing that thing with no diverging paths...
I mean, what's wrong with... Okay, I'm going to do a thing. I do a thing. And they talk about the thing. What's wrong with that?
This movie is really bad at conveying what the story is. The story is presented to us in a way where we cannot understand it unless we can read the minds of the characters. In this movie,
I disagree with that heavily.
Information is conveyed in a very strange and vague way. Take, for example, the scene where Anakin is being interviewed by the Jedi Council. They ask him some random questions, and then they say, sorry, he's evil, we cannot train him.
They say he's too old, and he's already had attachment that might affect him when he gets older. But I would argue with, I wouldn't argue that it doesn't make any sense. I would argue you don't understand it. I would argue that it's stupid because you could obviously teach someone that, yes, you have a loss, but that doesn't have to affect you on a deeper level. And you can work with what Anakin is dealing with right now.
They say they sense fear in Anakin, and that is the main reason why he's not to be trained. So you're telling me you expect the kid to just not be scared at all? Wouldn't it make more sense to train someone to be less fearful than to just expect them to have the emotions of a Jedi once they get here? They know he's strong in the Force, but they still tell Qui-Gon that he can't train him. But what's the alternative? Just send him back home and hope he doesn't harness his inherent Force powers? And Qui-Gon just says, oh...
Well, you need training to become strong, right? Well, not anymore in Star Wars. But let's ignore that. You need training to become strong. And you wouldn't become as strong, or hardly at all, presumably, if you didn't have proper training. Again, in Star Wars, apparently you don't need training anymore. But, obviously he wouldn't be as strong as he would in Episode 3, or even at Darth Vader, and if he didn't have the training he did.
Oh, I'm just going to train him anyway. You're just allowed to do that? You can just do whatever you want? If you can do that, then why does anybody ask for permission?
The boy is dangerous.
Well, he was going to leave the Order and train Anakin anyway, so the council was like, okay, you can train him. They didn't want Qui-Gon to leave.
Okay, but why? Literally just tell us why. Somebody please tell...
They did! They didn't want Qui-Gon to leave.
Tell me something. Please, sir, may I have some...
You do! You don't have to make up this shit.
When you look at the finer details of the movie, there's shit that just doesn't make any sense. For instance, why would you bring Anakin to a war zone? Qui-Gon already has an apprentice, and now he just grabbed another one and brought him along to the war.
Anakin, stay where you are. You'll be safe there.
But I...
Stay in the cockpit.
You stay here.
But Rick!
No buts.
Also,
Yeah, what's wrong with staying in the cockpit?
so why would you go down to Naboo in separate ships? It's kind of a throwaway line, and it ends up not mattering in the long run, but from a logistical
Well,
standpoint, it doesn't make any sense. You guys could just go on the same ship. You're really
if...
fucking lucky they park next to each other. What the...
Well, the idea is you can hide separately, and you won't get caught as easily because, you're not taking as much space, and if one of you does get caught, the other one might not. It just makes... It's a better idea to go separately than together. And if one of you does land far away, the other, you're more likely one of you will land closer. Or both of you, It's just better overall.
What does Palpatine want to accomplish with this fucking trade blockade? This is his most roundabout and complicated plot ever.
It's not roundabout. He wants to use the Trade Federation to unseat the current chancellor, to put a no vote of confidence into him so he can rise up higher. It'll make him look better to cause trouble in the universe.
Ever, and he's already known for those. He has no problem with killing the Jedi in the beginning, but he's just gonna try and convince Padme politely to accept his terms?
Yes, because she doesn't need to be dead at that point.
He doesn't have any problem trying to kill her in the later movies. I don't...
Because he doesn't need her anymore. He doesn't need her anymore. He needs her in the first movie. He doesn't need her anymore in the second movie. And she's an actual problem because she's voting against the things he wants.
I don't understand this man.
What would be the point in killing him in the first movie? Because he needs her, and she's on its side, and she might be further use in the future. That's real helpful.
What does he even want? I always found it strange that Palpatine's ultimate goal is to just be president and rule everything. It seems like a really simple-minded goal for someone who's...
Yes, simple-minded goal. Wanting to ruin an entire galaxy. That's simple. Wow. Mr. Universe over here. He literally, the Emperor wants to be Mr. Universe. Quite literally.
Supposedly so wise and attuned to the Force. Normally, I don't really care if a villain's motivations are simplistic.
That's not simplistic. Ruling a galaxy isn't simplistic. Ruling a planet isn't sophistic. Ruling a country, ruling a country isn't simplistic.
Especially in Star Wars. But this is a movie that's trying to be more complex than the previous films, and it's just not very good at it. The entire plot of all three of these movies revolve around Palpatine's schemes, and his schemes never make any sense. There's also this thing with the prequels where you can sometimes take a single line and try to analyze it, and it just doesn't make any sense from a simple writing perspective. I'm serious, this is in every single one of these movies.
A communications disruption can mean only one thing. Invasion.
No, it doesn't. You're telling me that if your communications get messed up, the only reason is that you're being attacked? You're telling me that if your communication
can mean only one thing.
Every single one of these movies.
A communications disruption can mean only...
Yeah, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with assuming you're being attacked? I mean... If you normally have good signal, what's wrong with that? I don't see any problem. And a lot of people, when something bad happens, they go to worst case scenario.
Mean only one thing. Invasion.
No, it doesn't. You're telling me that if your communications get messed up, the only reason is that you're being attacked?
You've made a commitment to the Jedi.
If everything across your planet is not working anymore, you're probably being attacked.
Order, a commitment not easily broken.
Not easily broken? You mean not easily maintained? The oath itself is very easily broken.
Only a Sith.
Easily maintained.
Easily broken.
Not easily broken? You mean not easily maintained?
Well, it means emotionally, it's not easily broken.
The oath itself is very easily broken.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
But Obi-Wan, that in itself is an absolute statement. George is...
That's kind of the point. The hypocrisy of the Jedi.
Not good at writing dialogue. It would be very funny if it wasn't so sad. And I should now probably mention the one thing people say is the biggest problem with this movie. Jar Jar. Honestly, all of the other issues in this movie are actually worse than Jar Jar. Lifeless performances, bad dialogue, a convoluted plot, and an overall lack of direction are all things that I hate way more than one dumb character. And if we're being real, while he's annoying, his role in the story actually makes more sense than Anakin's. The worst thing about Jar Jar is that you literally cannot understand what he's saying.
I mean, I understood what he's saying.
I watched this movie with subtitles for the first time, and I only now, 20 years later, have understood what the fuck Jar Jar has been saying.
Me say day starting pity okie day with the brisky morning munching, then boom!
Here's one thing you need to do before buying anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
I have no fucking clue what you just said, but hell yeah, man. I'm gonna speak.
Then boom!
I have no fucking clue what you just said.
That's fair enough. You picked a good line for that. Other lines, I can't understand what he's saying. With, he like the one in the Gungan City, where you're talking about the, planet core, and you can't go through the planet core, it's dangerous. I understood when he said that.
I said, but hell yeah, man. I'm gonna speak my truth.
But despite this, they actually need Jar Jar around for most of the movie. I really hate admitting it, but he's so integral to this dumbass story.
Why do you hate admitting it?
That you kind of need him here more than you need the other characters. However, it doesn't make any sense that you bring him into Mos Eisley with Qui-Gon and not Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of the main characters. Actually, I take that back.
I would leave a Jedi back at the ship to protect it, just in case anything happens.
I can't even say he's a main character in this movie.
There are multiple main characters in the movie, but, the Separatists are still looking for you. If anything happens, he can protect the ship.
It is truly baffling to me how small Obi-Wan's role is in this movie. I think the only reason people are moved by Qui-Gon's death is because Qui-Gon gets way more screen time. He's closest to being the main character. And just think about how much characterization...
I think there are multiple main characters in the prequels.
Obi-Wan has in episodes 2 and 3. In episode 2 and 3, you find out that he doesn't really like flying that much. That's kind of a cute character trait.
I thought you didn't learn anything about these characters.
He had traits in this movie. The only character with traits in this movie is, again, Jar Jar. So yeah, while Jar Jar is really awkward and a fucking...
I thought you just said you learned a lot about Qui-Gon.
In addition to the movie, he's the only thing in the movie that feels real. Whenever I watch this movie and he shouts this line...
See, you can
seriously wake up from the...
I'm being pedantic now. He said he probably didn't mean literally. But you can't understand when he says that. When he says that. Don't say literally when you don't mean literally.
Coma that this movie put me in. If he wasn't in the movie, I legitimately think the movie would be worse.
Well,
think about it. It would just be these...
Well, yes. I don't... Yes, because you would have to change the movie, because he's an important part to the plot.
Dry humans delivering boring dialogue.
That word boring, qualify it.
So boring that I don't think I'd be able to sit through it. Honestly, in order to fix this movie, you would need to reformat the entire plot. Everything is broken. Most people agree that the biggest problem here is that you can just delete this whole movie from the trilogy and it changes nothing.
I don't agree with that. You wonder what's going on with Qui-Gon. You wonder why a bunch of characters are in the place that they are. You wonder relationships. There are plenty of things.
A lot of Star Wars viewing guides actually recommend that you just don't watch this movie. How sad is that? The spin-off movies are equally useless in the grand scheme of things, but those movies are fun and a little experimental, so I don't really mind them. They don't...
because you found them fun?
Hurt and scheme of things, but those movies are fun and a little experimental, so I don't really mind them. They don't really hurt anybody by exhibit.
Because you found them fun. They're good. But because you didn't find the prequels fun, they're not good. Pick and choose, I guess.
This movie really hurts my feelings by existing. It just genuinely bothers me whenever I watch it. There's no main character. The characters that are in this movie don't have
Again, you don't need a movie with one central main character.
Traits or personalities, and if you try to break this movie into a beginning, middle, and end, you would have trouble finding out where each part begins. Nothing in this movie works at all. This one...
Again, you keep saying that, but you point out things that work in the movie... Whatever.
It is a really big disappointment, and if I was an adult when I watched this movie, I don't think I would even like Star Wars anymore. And the worst part is, we still have 2 more movies to go. 3 out of 10, I hope it doesn't get any worse than this.
Okay, I have to go to sleep. But I'll do a part 2. And see you guys later. Okay. Like, subscribe, and comment.